Story 1. I never believed in ghosts or curses until the night Jordan and I walked into that massage parlor to celebrate our 3rd anniversary. We were laughing, holding hands, excited for something relaxing in the middle of the noisy city. The sign outside read, "Eternal Touch Spa," in faded gold letters, tucked between a closed bookstore and a 24-hour diner. The windows were blacked out, but a small red open neon glowed in the corner like a single watchful eye. The moment we stepped inside, the air felt thick, heavy with the smell of old incense and something metallic I couldn't place. A woman with long black hair and no smile greeted us at the desk. She didn't ask our names. She just said, "The room is ready. Follow me." We were led down a narrow hallway lit only by flickering wall sconces. Our room had 2 massage tables side by side, covered in dark sheets. Mirrors lined one entire wall, reflecting the dim orange light back at us. Jordan squeezed my hand and whispered, "This place is creepy cute, right?" I nodded, trying to shake off the chill crawling up my spine. 2 masseuses entered silently, one for Jordan, one for me. They were identical in a way that felt wrong. Same pale skin, same blank eyes, same slow movements. We stripped down to the provided towels, lay face down, and let them begin. The first few minutes were nice. Strong hands worked the knots in my shoulders. Jordan sighed happily beside me. Then I heard it. A whisper, soft, like wind through dry leaves. I thought it was the air conditioning vent above us. But the sound didn't stop. It grew. Multiple voices now, overlapping, murmuring just loud enough to make out words. "You lied to her on your birthday." I froze. That was my voice. My own voice from 2 years ago, the night I told Jordan I was working late while I was actually at a bar with someone else. A mistake I buried so deep I sometimes convinced myself it never happened. Jordan's breathing changed, sharp, quick. "You kept the messages. You still read them when she's asleep." That was Jordan's voice, low, guilty, talking about the ex she swore she'd deleted from her phone forever. We both lifted our heads at the same time and looked at each other. Her eyes were wide, terrified. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. She nodded once. The masseuses didn't react. Their hands kept moving, pressing deeper, but now their fingers felt wrong, too cold, like they'd been dipped in ice water. The whispers multiplied. They came from the walls, the ceiling, even from inside my own skull. "She doesn't love you anymore, Alex. She stays because she pities you. Jordan, you're only with him so no one else has to see how broken you are." Every secret we'd ever hidden from each other spilled out in cruel, perfect detail. Things we'd never said aloud, things we'd barely admitted to ourselves. I tried to sit up. "We're leaving," I said, voice shaking. The masseuse pushed me back down with impossible strength. Her hand was no longer warm flesh. It was hard, cold, like marble. Jordan screamed. Her masseuse had pinned her wrists to the table. That's when the shadows moved. They peeled themselves off the corners of the room like wet paint sliding down a wall. Long black tendrils. They slithered across the floor, slow and deliberate, reaching for our legs. I kicked. The shadow wrapped around my ankle like a cold rope and yanked. Pain shot through me, not from the grip, but from what came next. Memories exploded behind my eyes. Not my memories, ours. Every ugly moment replayed in full color, sharper than reality. The night I kissed someone else. The afternoon Jordan cried alone in the bathroom because she hated herself for staying. The lies we told over dinner. The silences that grew into walls. Jordan was sobbing now, thrashing against the table. "Make it stop, please!" The doors wouldn't budge. We pounded, screamed, nothing. The shadows climbed higher, wrapping around our waists, our chests, squeezing until we could barely breathe. The mirrors. Every mirror in the room showed something different now. Not us. Not the masseuses. Reflections of ourselves, but older, hollow-eyed, standing alone. Jordan's reflection had blood on her hands. Mine had a noose around its neck. One of the shadows coiled around my throat and whispered directly into my ear, using my own voice. "You'll never leave each other, because you deserve this." I don't know where the strength came from. Maybe panic, maybe rage. I tore my arm free, grabbed the small metal tray of oils beside me, and swung it at the nearest mirror. Glass exploded. The shadows shrieked, a sound like nails on metal. The masseuses staggered back, faces melting into smears of darkness. The whispers turned into howls. I smashed another panel. Jordan, bleeding from shards in her palms, smashed a third. The moment the last mirror shattered, the room went silent. The doors clicked open. We ran, barefoot, wrapped only in towels, into the cold night. We didn't look back. The parlor was gone the next morning, just an empty storefront with a for lease sign, no trace it had ever existed. We told ourselves it was over, but the whispers never left. At night, when the city quiets, I hear them again. Soft, patient. Jordan hears them too. We don't talk about it. We just lie there in the dark, holding each other too tight, pretending we can't hear the voices listing every secret we still keep. Sometimes I catch her staring at me when she thinks I'm asleep. Sometimes I stare back, and I wonder which one of us will break first. Because the shadows may have let us go that night, but they made sure we brought them home. Story 2. I still check my reflection every morning, not to fix my hair or makeup, but to count the patches, to make sure the new skin hasn't started lifting again, because if it does, I know they're coming back for more. Liam and I had been running on fumes for months. City life in the financial district chewed us up. Long hours, endless emails, sleep that never felt deep enough. On our one free evening, we decided to treat ourselves. A quick Google search showed Velvet Renewal Spa on the 18th floor of a glass tower we passed every day. 5-star reviews, transformative deep tissue therapy, couples packages. Perfect. The elevator opened straight into soft golden light and the scent of eucalyptus and something sweeter, almost like warm honey. A receptionist with flawless skin smiled without showing teeth. "Emma and Liam, right this way." The treatment room was huge, all white marble and frosted glass. 2 wide tables faced each other. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the glittering skyline, but the glass was tinted so dark no one could see in. We changed into soft robes, lay face down, and let the masseurs begin. They were tall, broad-shouldered men in crisp black uniforms. Their faces were calm, too calm. No small talk, no, "How's the pressure?" Just silent, methodical hands digging into our backs. It hurt in that good way at first. Knots unraveled, muscles sighed, then the prickling started. Tiny, sharp pinpricks under my shoulder blades, like needles tapping from the inside. I shifted. Liam murmured beside me, "You feel that too?" "Yeah, like something moving." The masseurs didn't pause. One of them reached for a small glass bottle and poured a thin stream of golden oil across my spine. The liquid felt warm for half a second. Then it ignited. Not fire. Worse. Acid eating inward. My skin hissed. I jerked up, gasping. Liam did the same. We locked eyes, wide with the same sudden terror. The oil kept spreading. Wherever it touched, the surface of my skin blistered, then lifted in perfect paper-thin sheets. Translucent. Almost beautiful. Like the shed skin of a snake, if snakes had freckles and faint tan lines. I tried to swipe it away. My fingers came back coated in something wet and pink. My own dermis peeled back like gift wrap. The masseurs finally looked at us. Their expressions hadn't changed, but now I saw why. Their faces were masks, literally. The skin around their eyes sagged in odd places, seams showing where pieces had been stitched together. One man's cheek hung loose, revealing raw, glistening muscle underneath, patched with mismatched tones that didn't belong to him. They were wearing us, or parts of us. Layers they'd taken from others before, collecting, renewing. Liam screamed first, a raw animal sound. He lunged off the table, but his legs buckled. The oil had seeped deeper. My limbs felt heavy, numb, like they belonged to someone else. I tried to stand. My knees folded. I hit the marble floor hard. One masseur knelt beside me, his hands, cold now, slick, pressed against the raw place on my back where skin no longer covered muscle. He peeled another strip slowly, almost tenderly, like unwrapping a delicate present. I felt every millimeter tear-free. No blood, just a sick suction sound and the cool air on exposed nerves. Liam was fighting harder. He grabbed a metal tray of stones and swung it. It cracked against the second masseur's temple. The man staggered, and part of his forehead flopped open, revealing a lattice of old scars and foreign flesh beneath. That was when I saw their bodies fully. Uniforms torn from the struggle, skin hanging in loose folds, arms patched with different shades, pale, olive, dark brown, all stitched crudely. One had a woman's delicate wrist attached at the elbow, the seam puckered and raw. They weren't healing themselves with creams or surgery. They were wearing the people who came before us. Liam crawled toward me. "Emma, door, go." I dragged myself after him. Every movement pulled at the open wounds. The room smelled of copper and burnt oil. The masseurs moved slowly, confidently. They didn't need to rush. We were already coming apart. Liam reached the handle first. Locked. He pounded. Nothing. I joined him, slamming my palms until my knuckles bled onto the white door. Behind us, the peeling continued. I felt another layer lift from my thigh, slow, deliberate. My vision blurred with pain and tears. Then Liam noticed the window, not the big one, the small frosted panel beside the door. Emergency exit glass. He grabbed the tray again, swung with everything left in him. The glass spiderwebbed, then shattered outward. Cold night air rushed in. We didn't think. We climbed through, barefoot, robes flapping, blood and oil trailing behind us. 18 floors up. The ledge was narrow, but we edged along it to the fire escape one window over. We descended shaking, sobbing, never looking back. The next morning, the tower directory had no listing for Velvet Renewal Spa. Online reviews gone. Maps showed nothing. Just an empty floor with available for lease signs. We told no one. Who would believe us? The scars healed slowly, too slowly. Raised, irregular patches that don't match the rest of my skin. Liam's back looks like a quilt of wrong colors. We avoid mirrors most days, but sometimes late at night, I wake up feeling it again. That prickling, deep under the new skin. Something shifting, waiting. I lift my shirt and check. So far, nothing moves. So far, but I know they're patient. And I know they still need renewing. Story 3. I still carry the antique pocket watch I found in my coat pocket the morning after. Its hands are frozen at 7:42. That's the exact minute our lives ended and began looping forever. Every time I open it, the glass is fogged with breath that isn't mine. Marcus suggested the parlor, a narrow street in the old quarter, cobblestones worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. The sign above the door read, "Timeless Rest" in peeling script. No website, no glowing reviews, just a handwritten note in the window. Relaxation for 2, by appointment only. We were tired of the city's noise, tired of pretending our marriage still sparkled. An evening massage felt like a small rebellion. The woman who opened the door was ancient, but moved like water. Silver hair pinned tight, eyes the color of wet slate. She didn't smile, she didn't speak. Just led us through a beaded curtain into a room that smelled of dust and lavender. 2 low tables waited under a single brass lamp. An enormous hourglass stood on a pedestal in the corner, sand the color of old bone trickling steadily downward. We lay down. The masseuses entered without a sound. 2 thin figures in long gray robes, faces hidden in shadow. Their hands were surprisingly strong. They started at our necks, kneading gently. Marcus sighed. I closed my eyes. For the first minute, it was perfect. Then the clock on the wall ticked backward. I noticed it because the second hand jerked the wrong way. Tick, tock, tick, tock, rewinding. I opened my mouth to say something. Before the words came out, the hands reset to the beginning of the massage. The same pressure on my shoulders, the same lavender scent. Marcus sighing again beside me. "What the hell?" I whispered. He didn't answer. He was already lifting his head, confused. The masseuses pressed harder this time. Fingers dug in like iron clamps. Pain flared, sharp, bone deep. I heard a crack, felt it in my ribs. Marcus gasped. We tried to sit up. Invisible weight pinned us down. The clock spun backward again. Reset. Same room, same hands. But now the pressure was crushing. My spine popped like dry wood. Visions flashed, not memories, but futures. I saw myself stepping off a curb, tires screaming, my body folding under a delivery truck. Blood on asphalt. Marcus watching from the sidewalk, too late to pull me back. Again. Reset. This loop. The pain climbed higher. My collarbone snapped. Marcus screamed as his wrist twisted at an impossible angle. Another vision. Him climbing scaffolding on a job site, wind howling, a loose beam swinging, his skull cracking open on concrete 30 stories below. We begged. We cried. The masseuses never spoke. Their faces stayed hidden, but their hands grew colder with each cycle, as if stealing our warmth. On the 7th loop, or maybe the 17th, I lost count. The pain became unbearable. Bones grinding, organs shifting under skin. The visions came faster. Heart attacks in crowded trains, drownings in the river after a fight, slow poison from bad takeout we'd eaten years later. Every possible death the city could deliver, laid out like a menu. Then one of them spoke. A voice like dry leaves scraping stone. You feel what we felt. The masseuse lifted her hood. No face. Just a hollow mask of sagging skin stretched over nothing. The other did the same. They were translucent now, outlines of people who had once been whole. I saw the dates carved faintly into their forearms, 1897, 1923, 1951, 1984, each ending on the same day we walked in. We were promised rest, the first said. We were given eternity instead, trapped in the 5 minutes before release. You must stay until the sand runs out, or until someone else takes your place. The hourglass. The sand was almost gone. Marcus lunged first. He rolled off the table, ignoring the snap of his own ankle, and staggered toward the pedestal. I followed, dragging myself across the floor. Every movement cost another crack, another flash of future death. The ghosts didn't stop us. They watched, patient, as if they'd seen this attempt 1,000 times. Marcus reached the hourglass. His hands, swollen, purple, closed around the wooden frame. He lifted it high and slammed it down. Glass exploded. Sand poured across the floor like gray snow. The room shuddered. The clock on the wall shattered. The ghosts screamed, a sound that came from inside our skulls. Everything stopped. The pressure vanished. The visions blinked out. We lay there, gasping. The room was silent except for our ragged breathing. We crawled to the door. It opened easily. Outside, the old quarter looked the same, except the sky was wrong. Too bright, too cold. People walked past us without glancing. We stumbled into the street, holding each other. Then I saw our reflections in a shop window. Marcus's hair was silver. Deep lines carved his face. His eyes were sunken, ancient. I touched my cheek, wrinkled skin, liver spots. The jawline I'd once been proud of now sagging into jowls. We looked 80, maybe older. Decades stolen in minutes. We tried to go home. The apartment was still there, but the key didn't fit. Neighbors we'd known for years stared like we were strangers begging at the door. Our photos on social media showed younger versions of us, frozen in time, while we aged overnight. We don't talk much anymore. We sit in cheap, rented rooms on the edge of the city, two old people who remember being young together. Sometimes Marcus reaches for my hand. Sometimes I let him take it. But mostly, we just watch the clock. Every tick forward feels like a gift we don't deserve. And every night, when the building quiets, I hear sand falling somewhere in the walls. Slow, patient, waiting for the next couple to wander into the old quarter looking for a little relaxation. I keep the pocket watch close. Its hand still read 7:42, and sometimes, very late when Marcus is asleep, I wind it, just to hear the ticking start again, backward. Story 4. I keep a small glass jar on my nightstand now. Inside it, floating in alcohol, is one of the things that came out of me. It's no bigger than a grain of rice, but if you look close, you can see it still twitches, slowly, like it's waiting. I tell myself it's dead. I know better. Ethan's idea was to try something different. Our backs had been killing us for months. City stress, cheap office chairs, too many hours hunched over screens. We found the place online. Gaia's Embrace Wellness, a trendy eco-parlor in the Arts District. Bamboo floors, living green walls, reviews raving about 100% natural deep tissue detoxification. They promised no chemicals, just ancient remedies revived for modern bodies. We booked the couple's session for a Saturday afternoon. The lobby smelled like wet earth and mint. A young woman with dreadlocks and a serene smile checked us in. "You're going to love this," she said. "The worms are very gentle. They only eat what your body doesn't need." Worms? She explained it like it was the most normal thing. Medicinal annelids. They burrow in, cleanse from the inside out, then exit on their own. Completely harmless. People fly here just for the treatment. Ethan laughed nervously. I squeezed his hand. We were already undressed and on the tables when the masseuses arrived. Two women in linen tunics, calm as monks. They dimmed the lights until the room glowed soft green from the wall plants. Warm oil dripped onto our backs. Then came the worms. They were dropped from a shallow clay bowl onto our skin. Tiny, pale, glistening things that moved with purpose. At first, it tickled, like someone trailing feathers down my spine. Then they found the pores. One by one, they pushed in. A sharp sting, then nothing. Just warmth spreading under the surface. "Relax," one masseuse whispered. "Let them work." I tried. Ethan's breathing slowed beside me. For a minute, it felt good, like pressure releasing from places I didn't know were tight. Then the itching started, not on the surface, inside, deep, crawling under my ribs, along my spine, behind my eyes. I shifted. Ethan shifted. We both sat up at the same time. The worms were moving, not out, in deeper. I could feel them branching, splitting. My skin rippled, small bulges traveling under the surface like moles tunneling through soil. Ethan clawed at his arm. "They're multiplying." The masseuses didn't stop smiling. One leaned close and said, "That's the cleansing phase. They're hungry." Panic hit like ice water. I tried to brush them off, but my fingers only pressed the bulges deeper. The itching became burning. My vision blurred, and suddenly the room was full of them. Insects, thousands, black and shiny, pouring from the walls, the ceiling, the plants. They swarmed over the tables, over us. I felt bites, sharp, electric, on my neck, my thighs, my face. Eggs being laid under my skin. I screamed. Ethan screamed. We tore at each other in blind terror. Nails raking arms, backs, faces. Blood welled up, mixed with sweat and oil. Under the blood, things wriggled free. Thin white threads spilling out of the scratches like toothpaste from a tube. The masseuses moved then, not to help. They knelt, mouths open, and began to eat the expelled worms, slow, deliberate, chewing with wet sounds. Their eyes rolled back in something like ecstasy. I don't remember the next part clearly, only flashes. Ethan smashing a shelf of jars, glass shattering, green liquid everywhere. me kicking at a door I hadn't noticed before, a narrow back exit. We stumbled through it into an alley reeking of garbage and rain, barefoot, bleeding, robes torn. We ran until our lungs burned, collapsing behind a dumpster 3 blocks away. We didn't go to a hospital. How do you explain that? We locked ourselves in our apartment instead. Showers so hot they blistered what was left of our skin. Tweezers, magnifying glass, hours spent digging out anything that moved. Some came out, most didn't. Quarantine lasted 3 weeks. We told work we had mono. Friends stopped texting when we wouldn't open the door. The itching never fully stopped. At night, it got worse, crawling under my tongue, behind my eardrums, in the soft spaces between my toes. I'd wake up scratching until I bled, finding new white threads under my nails. Ethan changed fastest. He stopped sleeping. He'd sit in the dark, staring at the wall, whispering that he could feel them laying eggs in his brain. I caught him once, trying to cut into his own forearm with a kitchen knife, convinced a nest was there. I wrestled the blade away. We cried together after that. First time in years. The dreams are the worst. Every night the same. I'm back on the table. The worms pour in, but this time they don't stop at cleansing. They build tunnels, chambers, a whole city under my skin. I feel them pupate, hatch, crawl out through my mouth while I scream silently. I wake up choking on nothing. We don't leave the apartment much now. His city outside is too loud, too bright, too full of places to hide. Sometimes I catch Ethan looking at me like he's counting the bulges under my shirt. Sometimes I look back the same way. Last night I felt something new, a faint pressure behind my left eye, like something stretching its wings. I haven't told Ethan yet. I don't want to scare him, but I keep the jar close, watching the little corpse inside. It twitched again this morning, or maybe I imagined it. Either way, I'm not sleeping tonight. I'm just waiting for the next hatch. I still avoid looking directly at my reflection in shop windows. Not because I hate what I see, but because sometimes what stares back doesn't blink when I do. Sometimes it smiles first. Tyler picked the parlor. Mirror Therapy Spa, he called it, laughing at the name. High-end in a sleek tower overlooking the river, floor-to-ceiling mirrors on every wall, even the ceiling. They advertised it as intimate enhancement, your own image watching you relax, making you feel seen, desired, present. We needed that. Our relationship had started feeling like two people sharing the same schedule instead of the same life. A couple's massage sounded like the perfect reset. The lobby was all chrome and white orchids. A receptionist with perfect symmetry handed us robes and led us to the suite. The room was a cube of glass, mirrors everywhere, no shadows, just us, multiplied 100 times, lying on 2 parallel tables in the center. Soft jazz played from hidden speakers. The air smelled of sandalwood and something faintly metallic, like coins left in the rain. 2 masseuses entered, elegant women in black silk, faces calm and unreadable. They poured warm oil across our backs. Their hands were firm, practiced. I sighed into the face cradle. Tyler murmured, "This is nice." Our reflections sighed and murmured at the exact same moment. Perfect sync, reassuring. Then one of my reflections blinked when I didn't. I lifted my head. Every mirror showed me doing it, except one panel on the far wall. That version of me stayed still, watching. A slow smile crept across its lips. Not mine. Wider, hungrier. "Tyler," I whispered. "Look at the mirrors." He turned his head. His reflection didn't. Instead, it tilted its head the opposite way, eyes narrowing like it was studying him. Then it whispered something I couldn't hear, but Tyler flinched as if the words had been spoken directly into his ear. The masseuses kept working. Their hands grew colder. The oil felt thicker, sticking to skin like syrup. I tried to sit up. One masseuse pressed me down gently, but firmly. Too firmly, In the mirrors, our reflections sat up. They moved without us. Smirking, whispering to each other, taunting. I heard fragments. He never really loved you, Olivia. She fakes it every time. You're both so boring, so predictable. Words we'd never said aloud, but had thought in our darkest moments. Then the reflections climbed off their tables. They stepped forward, through the glass like it was water. Solid, real, wearing our faces, our bodies, but wrong. Eyes too bright, grins too wide. They wore the masseuse's black silk now somehow. The real masseuses stood frozen, expressions blank, as if waiting for orders. The doppelgangers approached us. One, my copy, leaned over Tyler. Her fingers trailed down his spine, but the touch was rough, possessive. She whispered in his ear. His eyes widened in horror. My copy laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Tyler's copy did the same to me. Her hands pinned my wrists to the table, nails dug in. "Don't struggle," she said in his voice. "We're just taking what's ours." They swapped places with the masseuses. The originals stepped aside like discarded puppets. The copies massaged us now, but the pressure turned violent. Joints twisted, muscles tore, pain flared bright and hot. We screamed. The mirrors screamed back, but their screams were laughter. I watched in every reflection as Tyler's copy kissed my neck, slow, mocking. My copy straddled him, grinding against him with exaggerated moans, revealing every twisted fantasy we'd buried. They weren't pretending to be us. They were improving us. Freer, crueler, better. Then they stood. "Time to go home," Tyler's copy said. "You two stay here. We'll take care of everything." They walked toward the door, our lives waiting outside. We tried to move, couldn't. The oil had hardened into restraints, invisible, strong. I locked eyes with my reflection, my real one, trapped. She winked. Desperation gave me strength. I wrenched one arm free, grabbed the heavy oil bottle from the side table, and hurled it at the central mirror, the biggest one, the heart of the room. Glass exploded, shards flew like shrapnel. They cut everything. My arms, Tyler's face. The copies shrieked as fragments tore through their perfect skin. Blood, our blood, spilled in arcs. The masseuses crumpled like broken dolls. The reflections flickered, distorted, began to melt back into the remaining mirrors. We scrambled off the tables, slipping in blood and oil. We ran, through the door they'd almost taken, into the hallway, down the stairs, out into the night. We didn't stop until we reached our apartment. We locked every door, covered every reflective surface with towels, blankets, tape. We sat in the dark, shaking, holding each other. The spa vanished the next day. No trace in directories, no online presence, just an empty floor in the tower. But the paranoia never left. Every time we pass a building with glass walls, I catch glimpses, a reflection that lingers half a second too long, a smile that isn't mine. Tyler flinches at mirrors now too. He won't say it, but I see him checking his own eyes, looking for that extra brightness. Last week, in the bathroom, I forgot to cover the medicine cabinet mirror. I looked up and saw myself brushing my teeth. Normal, except the reflection kept brushing after I stopped. I smiled at it, just to test. It smiled wider. I smashed the mirror with my fist. Blood dripped into the sink. When I looked again, nothing. But sometimes late at night I hear whispering from the hallway. My voice, Tyler's voice, saying things we've never said aloud. They're out there, living our lives, and we're here, hiding from every shiny surface, wondering if we really escaped, or if we're the copies now, and the real ones are the ones smiling back from every reflection in the city. I don't know anymore. I just know I haven't looked in a mirror in weeks, and I'm terrified of what I'll see when I finally do. For more stories like this, share and subscribe Goofy Horror.